To start, first of all, let me congratulate all of you. You are finally here. So let's start our game. Just some more than and then we have our time to go, Polina. And let's start. So for the first speech, I would like to invite the first speaker of the proposition team. You will have 6 minutes. Right after the first word.
That good always wins over evil in children's books, and our side truly believes that this is so. The reason being that the problem is that we're not teaching the kids the actual truth. We're teaching them, we understand that stories have to teach something, but we forget the way it is taught. So we will explain this with our arguments. So we're playing with 2 arguments today. Our first one is we don't know both sides of the story, and the second argument is regret the method of good winning over bad. So I will open the first argument. So we don't know both sides of the story. So basically this is true, because in these stories they are shown that, okay, you see that we have this good side, we have this bad side, not proven that this is good or bad. Through the whole story, we're seeing the position of only one person, of only one character. We're not seeing the other side of the story. Let's take, for example, the story of Sleeping Beauty. In Sleeping Beauty, we see that there is this girl who got cursed and stuff like that, but the movie that was made a couple of years ago shows that that Maleficent side of the story was also right in a way. So in that movie we were supporting Maleficent because in that movie she was good, and then in the original movie she wasn't good. So we don't know both sides of the story, and what we're teaching children is that, okay, you have this, you're the good person, you see that this is bad to you, that is why you should get rid of it, this is why it is evil. Whereas you don't know both sides of the middle, you don't know what is happening in that person's mind, you don't know what is happening in their lives, and this is what concept shouldn't be taught from a young age, because sooner or later, yes, they're starting to understand, okay, maybe we should understand both sides of the story, this is something that is taught later in their life, but we believe that this concept should be taught at an earlier stage in their life, so that we don't need to waste time and we don't need to waste all this time that they could have used this concept in this way. So for example, an analogy would be, I know it's not really sufficient with the kids' storybooks, but we could take wars. So what happens in wars? We have 2 teams, let's say, of soldiers. One team of soldiers has said, okay, we're attacking this team because they're bad. The other team is told the same thing. They don't know what they're striving for. They don't know what they're fighting for. They're just fighting because they were told that the other side is bad. And that is why we believe that this was done, because they weren't taught from a young age that there are 2 sides, that we should find different ways of solving these problems. There should be ways of negotiating, there should be ways of discussion, and that is what we truly strive for, that this concept should be taught from a young age. And that is why we believe that good shouldn't win over bad, but bad should be beaten with good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now it's time for a response from the opposition team.
Okay, so good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen, and now I would like to start my speech with the reputation of our dear point. So first of all, our points, we talked a lot about the circumstances why actually people became bad. So and that's why they don't need to fail, and evil and good don't need to win over evil. And we would like to say that, okay, there is circumstances why people became bad. And okay, we agree that we need to know about it why person became bad. But that doesn't mean that evil should win over the good, because in the result, which consequences we can see if the evil will became over if the good. Okay, so we have their consequences with this. We have the circumstances why this bad person acts bad. But that means, and if he won or if he won punished, that means that we justify that he acts bad because he has had some circumstances. And that is not what we want to teach our children, because if we justify the bad acts with some circumstances, we don't give them a hope, we don't give them this, that they don't need to act bad anyway. We need to teach them that even if some circumstances want you to act bad, that doesn't mean that it is okay for you to behave bad. And that's why the model of our opponents doesn't work. So, no, thank you. Now with our line of argumentation, so we want to build a better society, and that's why we want to teach our children that only good is an option how you can behave. So our first argument as childhood is only time of children formation as a person. So why it's actually true? We need to teach children to be good because and we need to show them the person who behaves good and wins, because children always copy the model of behavior, and they saw that. Okay, I'll give you an analogy. So we have a book, and in the book there is a war between a good boy and bad boy. And if good boy will have the privilege, for example, will have some sweetie in the end, they will act like a good boy to have the sweetie. And if in their book they will Evil will win. For example, we have this war, and bad boy will have this sweetie. So child will think that, okay, so if bad boy acts bad and have a sweetie and he wins, so I should act like him because I want to see sweetie. And that's why it doesn't how it really will work in real life, because if we will teach children to act in this way, we will have in the result a bigger percentage of people who justifies his bad acts and doing some bad stuff to reach their goals, and in the result
we're not showing that evil boy, so-called, with the sweetie is bad. We want to show through that storyline that evil boy is actually not an evil boy. We want to neutralize that and show that there are both sides of the story, and that boy is not actually evil, and they're both good, and they both deserve a sweetie.
Okay, maybe it is so, but in the result, should win the good boy, and he needs to get a sweetie, because we need to act in the we need the model of a good boy for children to copy, not to justify the bad boy and his bad actions, but to justify the person who acts good and to copy his model of actions. So the second point is difficulties in teaching. So for teachers there will be a lot of problems, because how to teach children to act good if we have a lot of examples of bad boys who acts with the wrong way, but they are justified for some reasons, and that means that children can justify themselves for their bad behavior, and then the result will have a big percentage of bad people who act badly and who influence the society, and will be impacting whole society. No, thank you. Will be impacting whole society, because there will be a lot of people who act in a bad way and justify themselves. Because okay, I have circumstances. For example, my parents pressed me a lot, and that's why it means that I can press someone because I'm pressed, and that is not how it works. So we don't need to justify the wrong way of wrong model of behavior, and good should always win to be an example how it can look like, and only by making our future generation better, only by giving them hope and a model of how they need to behave, only then we can change something. And if we will justify some bad acts, no matter for what reason we will justify, we can't ever build a better society, because we always justify some bad acts So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Now let's listen for the response from the proposition team.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, our judges and our opponents. I'm the second speaker of team proposition, and first of all, I wanted to rebuttal some points that said our opponents. Okay, they said in rebuttal that they need we need to say this owl is win over good. We don't say that owl need to win over good. Our first speaker said that we are playing at the field where when good don't need to always win over the evil. We need to neutralize the conflicts between them. And the second thing is let's remember how good our protagonists are win over the evil. So let's remember like the Snow White or the Sleeping Princess. They are win the evil by the killing but not human variants. So that's also said we don't how we would check that children would realize that they need to be good. So we don't need to show that good need to win on the evil. We need to show what is the good and what is the evil, and show that we don't need to compete with each other. We need to no, and we don't need to work with each other.
But our life is war between evil and good, and we don't can make a book without any ending. We need to make a decision.
Okay, so I said that we need to. Okay, we said that we need to show what is the good and what is the evil. So we need to show how they can make the decision without the conflicts, without the killing, without these things. And so I want to present you our second argument. That's like our rebuttal. The method of good winning in our evil. It's not right. So we remember that good are winning off their evil by killing or something, but that's things that we need to teach our children. Is that right? We don't think so. We think that we need to teach them how to analyze what is the evil. Is this an evil at all? And so what we can do with it? And so what we can do with this. So in our books, protagonists say, I think it's an evil. I need to delete it. Not know that what is the evil. How I can neutralize it. I need to delete it. We would killing it. We would delete it at all. So and we are trying to say that it's not a real true way to neutralize the problem. Our solution is teach children in books. Just analyze where is the evil, where is the good, and how we can decide the conflict not without the killings or these things. And then we are truly regrets that good always wins over evil in children's books. Thank you so much.
Okay, now the second speaker of the opposition team.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daria, and I'm the second speaker of opposition team. And I'd like to start my speech with the reputation of our opponent. First of all, our opponent says that evil is not always evil, but it seems that we oppress evil. It's not true. Also, they said that we must to show that never must win, but children read books and choose any side. Purpose to teach and child believe in some certain side of our fairy tale maybe. I mean that he believe only in good or only in evil, bad people in book. And also our opponent said that we need only in characterize people, but books will haven't any position maybe. They must to teach us, and children teach many things by books. No. Now I'd like to start my speech. I'm sorry. Now I'd like to continue with our line of argumentation. Our first argument is, at first I would like to say that we must teach children to be kinder. Of course, not all children in future will be kind, but we can at least attempt. Because books are teaching us, sometimes they have a big influence for children, for maybe also society. Children, while reading a book or a fairy tale, they always want to get this happy end. And children copy the behavioral model of positive heroes. They want them to be all the same of the end. No, thank you. And they want his hero to having a good end. When wins the bad hero, then the child will apply the behavior of the evil hero. Yeah? Yeah. Teachers will have problems with children also, because it will be difficult to teach children which believes in evil. They will have bad we must win the evil. When win the evil, children always believes in fairy tale, and this affection is their behavior in the future. How I said earlier, we can't make all children kind, but we should bring them this maybe model and behavior. If children will believe in bad heroes, they will call them, and there will be more bad people in the world. Accordingly, our society will be worse, and we can't develop. But we don't want it, and hope appears only if we teach children to be good. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So, last contraction speech from the proposition team.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm the third speaker of proposition team, and every proposition team we agree with today's motion that we regret that good always wins over evil, but as we said before, we want to prove you that we don't regret that good always wins over evil. We regret that evil doesn't win with good. So, as we said before, we have our method, and first of all, we want to say you that our method is include the fact that we don't know what exactly the good and the good and the error. So imagine the situations. From the beginning of the book, children start to think that they will meet from another side that isn't written much in the book, that they will need to destroy their ideas, do something, and but we don't know even their ideas. And with our method, we don't want them to think so. We want them to find the middle, because if children will think that they must destroy what is considered to be the evil, it will provide it will provide methods that they consider as evil too. Because and if we will find the middle, and we want to find the middle, because first of all, we need to analyze what we need to show children the both sides of the story to make them decide. Because if we will do this, we will find a natural way to solve the problems, and to refutation to our opponents. So they will think about teaching problems and this impact on good and moral behavior in the future. But as we said but this method that good always need to win the evil, it provides the bad behavior in the future, because in this method evil is beaten with the same evil, but it's no thanks. And in our method, we want to show this middle. We want to help children to analyze both sides, because in the future they will meet the situations in which and if they don't know what real evil is, they can't really be what you say good in these situations. And in the future, and it will provide also a great impact on the society in the future. Because if we will know how to not just to beat other side, but just to learn about their ideas and something. No, thank you. It will us to solve our problems in a more diplomatic way. So to our arguments. So our first argument, as we said before, is there is both sides of the story, and that's really true. Because imagine when one person wins, he tells that he provides good, but if another person would win, he would say that he also provides this good, and there is no middle. And also we don't know how really was evil, because for example, he killed his enemy to protect his family, but enemy was killed him to protect his family too. And who is the real good and who is the real evil? we don't know what the real evil and good mean. We just know it because of somebody told us. That's what we don't need to provide to our children. And our second argument is about that method of good winning over the evil. And as we said before, our method not to beat. Our method is to find this middle and to see it from the both sides. And so then we will stop this what you called evil. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Number 2.
Okay, I am the first speaker of opposition team, and I would like to tell you about our game. And first of all, I want to say you why we need to teach only good our children, and why we need these good ends. First of all, we should give a good part of childhood. And good picture of our world. And this helps us to make a good person, first of all, because the psychology of children is a copy of model of behavior. And for example, if children can see what the main person is evil, children can copy this behavior, and this is really bad. Okay, and what's about psychology of children? Because first of all, children have white and black perception. We are not good at psychology to analyze what is the evil, what is the good. That's why we need to show them what is really is. This is good and this is bad. No, thank you. And we need this situation in our books. And the first argument of our opponents was about we don't know both sides of evil and good. But we need to make this decision in our books because we need to help children to understand what is good and what is bad. Okay.
Exactly, we should make them understand what is good and what is bad, and not that good should be bad. We should teach them to analyze, and especially with the methods that they kill the bad. That's what we're doing.
Also, as I said, children have a weak psychology, and we have white and black perception, and we can't analyze both sides, what is good, what is bad, and we need to show them what is really is. Okay, and what's the main problem of evil? Because children with this model of bad behavior, we make more evil in hard life situation because we have this model. And what about our position and our position of good in our books? This system help children with fight with evil in their future, because we because the habit of children is what and should be always good, and children will be fight with evil. And what about also about our position? We don't teach children what we always should win with evil. We must teach children how to not be evil. No, thank you. And our opponents a lot of problems with psychology of children and develop of their understanding of life. And our position always was about firstly make a person, because with books with good we help children to make better decisions. And also our position is about what we need to give them hope of our life, because with only fire of hope children can beat some evil. And this is it will be hard for children, but we should try their life better. And I think so. Okay, thank you for your attention.
So now is the final speech for opposition team. Your white choice.
Okay, so good afternoon again. My name is Mary, and now I would like to compare the values and say why actually in the case of our opponents doesn't work in real life. So the main value of both sides were to build a new society, to build a better society. And why in the case of our opponents we actually cannot realize this value. So first of all, our opponents were talking a lot about neutralization of good and evil, and just characterization and evil and good as it is okay at both sides. And and first of all, we said that that means that point of children's books is actually absent, because we need to make a conclusion and to teach children something, because they copy a model of behavior of the person in a book, and that's why we need to make them understand that you need to act like this, you need to act good, and that is the point of the children's book. And the books about conflict without a winner and just describing characterization, analyzing, it's not about the children's books actually. So because children have a really basic perception with black and white, they cannot analyze and make this deep analysis which our opponents is supposed to make them analyze. So the second point is that our opponents justifying bad behavior, it may lead to a bad consequences, because every child can justify his bad acts with the position that, okay, I'm acting bad, but that is not the point, because I have circumstances, and that's why I am supposed to do this, and I have no another option, and that is okay, because in the book there is a person who acts in the same way, and we don't want to make our society work, because if every action in the society can be justified, that means that it will be increasing the worthy acts of in the society, because they are just justifying themselves. Every action is justified. And alternatively, on our side, we are trying to build a better society without moral principles, which are the barrier for you to not to justify the acts only just because of the circumstances, but because you are a good person. You need to be a good person to win. You don't need to act as a bad person, and that is the point. And the last what I want to say is but we don't need to beat evil, because evil is maybe a good person, but he faced with some circumstances. But we said that the point of the book is not defeating the evil actually, but not to act in the evil, but to make some model of good behavior for children to understand that that is the way which can lead you to some good consequences. That's why you need to act like this, because children always copy the model of behavior, and that's why we need to make this in the way black and white, because children understand only black and white. So I think that's all I want to say. Thank you for attention.
Thank you. The final speech for the whole round. The white speech from the preposition.
Okay.
evening, dear ladies and gentlemen. And now I'd like to clarify some things that our opponents didn't even notice in our speeches. So yes, we were saying that there are two sides of the story. This is an obvious thing. We've proved it, and I will tell you why just in a second. But one thing our opponents didn't notice throughout our speeches is the fact that we were talking about how our good characters reach their goal and beat the evil. Because our opponents kept saying about the fact that these kids repeat whatever these good people do in these stories. I even quote, they always copy model of behavior. And we brought you some examples of where this model of behavior is absolutely wrong, because we brought the example of Sleeping Beauty, where they kill the dragon. We brought the example of Snow White, where, as we all know, they push her off the cliff. There's another example of the Three Little Pigs, for example, where they make that wolf fall into the boiling pot of water. And the methods of which this is reached, and we're projecting this as the good. And our opponents are saying that yes, we have to teach them what is good, what is bad, that the good should kill the bad, that the good should get rid of the bad, but we're not teaching them how to solve this problem and how to get rid of this bad. We're showing them that the only method to do this is through violence. And this is what we were telling you in our second and third speeches. Okay, so yeah, what we regret is that good always wins over bad. We regret the fact that we weren't teaching them that evil should be won with good. We regret that we didn't teach them how to analyze what is good and what is bad, how to deal with what is good and what is bad. If something is truly bad, we should also show them how to deal with this factor. Okay, so yeah, back to our arguments. So our first argument was we don't know both sides of the story. As we already proved that there are both sides of the story, so that example of Maleficent again, but also we already looked at Maleficent as the character, but look at the side characters as well. The king, in one of the movies, he was the good man who tried to protect his child and stuff, but in the second movie, he was the one who was the actual bad character. So the good could also be bad in somebody else's story. So this is actually what happens in life. In your story, because you always picture yourself as the main character, in your story, you're the good one. You believe that everything you do is good. And the other person that does something evil, in your opinion, is evil, whereas from his perspective, he is doing the actual good. And this is what we should be teaching them, that both sides of the there are always two sides of the story, and they should be solved in a certain way. Our second argument was method of good winning over bad. Again, we try to prove that good shouldn't win over bad, and even if the bad is really true, bad should be beaten with good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please take your hand. And thank you for being here. I would like to ask all to leave this room.